When you think about businesses like Allbirds or Skims that are selling through the roof, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But what's often overlooked is the business behind the business that makes it all possible. For millions of businesses, that's Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify, the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. With Shop Pay, you can boost conversions by up to 50%, meaning fewer abandoned carts and way more sales. Whether your customers are scrolling online, strolling through your store, or browsing social media, Shopify ensures you're ready to sell wherever they are. It's no secret, businesses that want to grow with Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/DAX, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/DAX to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/DAX.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Exposed, Scandalous Files of the Elite. I am your host, Jim Chapman, and we are back with, believe it or not, the 23rd episode in the Diddy saga. Now, typically on Wednesdays, we drop a bad teacher series, but we will mix it up a little bit and include Diddy saga series episodes as information drops and gets out there. Now, the trial starts in May, and we're really going to be heavy covering that. But it's been a while since we brought you a Diddy episode, and some things have happened over the past couple of weeks that I thought you may be interested in hearing about. Another lawsuit has been filed. This particular lawsuit has been filed by Sean Combs. He's striking back against a former associate by the name of Courtney Burgess, which Courtney can go both ways as far as a name. This can be a male or a female. In this case, it's a male. Now, Diddy filed this lawsuit on the 22nd of January. So we're going to get into it. I have that lawsuit in front of me. But before I start, I want to reference a really good article from the New York Times that gives you a good idea of who Courtney Burgess is and how he relates to Diddy, and even more importantly, how he may have pissed off Diddy. And incidentally, this lawsuit was not only filed against Courtney Burgess by Sean Combs, but also against Nexstar Media, which is a big media company that owns News Nation, as well as someone you've heard me talk about before by the name of Ariel Mitchell. That's the attorney that has really been on Diddy's ass for years, and I've talked about some cases in which she is the attorney on those lawsuits. So let's get into the article, and this is how that reads. Courtney Burgess and his lawyer Ariel Mitchell are clapping back at Diddy's sons, Christian Combs and Quincy Brown, after they filed a cease and desist order over Courtney's publication of a tell-all book, allegedly based on the diaries of their late mother, Kim Porter. According to the Daily Mail, the brothers claim that Burgess, who is a witness in Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial, was trying to capitalize on their mother's hard-earned fame through the book. As per the legal response obtained by TMZ, Burgess and Mitchell said they weren't trying to capitalize on her fame since Porter was not an actor or entertainer and is only well known for being Diddy's longtime partner. Diddy's sons say they are rightful heirs and owner of Porter's IP rights, while Mitchell told TMZ that Porter had promised Burgess a copy of her diary before giving it to him, meaning he allegedly has the rights. Here's what we know about Courtney Burgess amid the ongoing investigation into Sean Diddy Combs. According to his Facebook profile, Burgess is currently single and hails from Newark, New Jersey. It noted that he attended Vailsburg High School, then Clark University, and has now been in the entertainment industry for over 30 years. In a recent interview with News Nation, and this is important, he said he used to work at Big Beat Records. I think we probably entered the music business at the same time, Burgess said of Diddy. He entered with Uptown and I entered with Big Beat, which is Atlantic. According to his Instagram bio, he is also current CEO of Alter the Ego records. Now, according to the New York Times, Burgess said that Kim Porter, Diddy's ex, had given him video footage and a manuscript, which he described as a rough draft of her alleged memoir. And for those of you that may not know, Kim Porter is not alive anymore. She died several years ago. But I'll continue on. Per the newspaper, the U.S. government issued Burgess with a subpoena to produce any electronic devices or files related to, created by, recorded by, and or depicting Combs. I ain't nervous, Burgess told reporters outside the courthouse in October. The only thing that puts fear in me is God. In an interview with the YouTube show called Inside True Crime, Burgess claimed that he saw videos with two young or underage artists in one of the tapes he obtained. One of Porter's friends, LaWanda Lane, who lived with her for over 20 years, says she didn't know who Burgess was, per the New York Times, saying, "I've never heard of this man in my life." The 59-page book, Kim's Lost Words, was released on Amazon under the pseudonym Jamal T. Millwood in September, but has since been removed from the website after it was denounced as fraudulent by Porter's children. Although Burgess said he has never met Diddy, only seeing him in the tapes he obtained, he has spoken out against the rapper. In his interview with News Nation, he said he refers to Diddy as a Lucifer. "I know y'all call him Diddy or Puff. I call him Lucifer," Burgess was quoted as saying. And he also regularly posts about Tupac Shakur. According to the New York Times, Burgess was a part of Tupac Shakur's extended orbit before the rapper's death in 1996. "I was like his shadow, always in the background, watching his back," Burgess said. He continues to this day to share tributes of Shakur on his social media. So that is a little background on this guy. Apparently, he claims that Kim Porter, before her death, gave him her diaries, basically, and he released these diaries on Amazon later on. As I just told you, they pulled it after Porter's children claimed this was all bullshit, but now he's entangled with a lawsuit against Sean Combs. So let's get into the lawsuit itself. And as I said, this was filed January 22nd of 2025, and it's filed against Courtney Burgess, Ariel Mitchell, and Nexstar Media, Inc. And it reads, plaintiff Sean Combs, by and through his undersigned counsel, Shar Tremonte, LLP, for his complaint against Courtney Burgess, Ariel Mitchell, Nexstar Media, and then it has in parentheses News Nation, collectively as defendants, and alleges the follows. And it gets into the nature of the action. This case is about defendants' willful scheme to fabricate and broadcast outrageous lies concerning Mr. Combs and then leverage those falsehoods to gain social media fame, enrich others, and strip Mr. Combs of his reputation, livelihood, and right to a fair trial. Social media protagonists, including but not limited to the defendants, Burgess and Mitchell, have for months been fueling a media frenzy, fabricating outlandish claims and stirring up baseless speculation about Mr. Combs, vying to outdo each other in a shameless competition to draw attention to themselves with no regard for the truth. In this pitiful spectacle, all pretense of objectivity has been abandoned as a global audience feast on the all-you-can-eat buffet of wild lies and conspiracy theories. Defendants are among the worst perpetrators in this offensive scenario. They eagerly court every opportunity to broadcast blatant falsehoods, pretending they have proof that Mr. Combs engaged in heinous acts, knowing no such proof exists. As a result, millions of people have come to believe in this made-up evidence that defendants have falsely described and vouched for. The torrent of lies and the immeasurable harm and prejudice it is causing to Mr. Combs must stop. Defendant Burgess falsely claimed that he possessed videos of Mr. Combs involved in a sexual assault of celebrities and minors. Burgess repeated these false claims many times to anyone that would listen, including reporters from major news outlets, including News Nation, which recklessly, repeatedly, and amplified his lies as if they were true. Thus, Burgess' baseless lies were rebroadcast on social and traditional media platforms that reach millions of viewers in the United States and abroad. His attorney, Mitchell, repeated those lies. Like Burgess, Mitchell knew that her client's claims were false, or at a minimum were utterly reckless in disregarding their falsity. Because no tapes exist, and because Mitchell never saw any video depicting Mr. Combs sexually abusing anyone, adult or minor, Mitchell's many false assertions that Burgess possessed such videos were either knowingly blatantly falsehoods or reckless false statements made as a direct result of Mitchell's inexcusable failure to investigate her client's lies. Burgess peddled his false and defamatory statements about Mr. Combs to promote himself on social media, and Mitchell did the same, both seeking to capitalize on the resulting publicity for financial gain. Together, Burgess, Mitchell, and News Nation have caused profound reputational and economic injury and severe prejudice to Mr. Combs. In this action, Mr. Combs seeks money damages, including punitive damages, for the harm the defendant's false and defamatory statements have caused. And that's how the introduction, if you will, reads. Then it gets into the factual background. What is the basis for all this, right? Sean Combs became famous for his extraordinary and historic achievements as a musician and music producer, hip-hop impresario, record label owner, fashion innovator, and icon, path-breaking spirits entrepreneur, and committed philanthropist. Mr. Combs is among the most accomplished businessmen of his generation. In September of 2024, Mr. Combs was indicted in the Southern District of New York on federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges. Mr. Combs entered a plea of not guilty to those charges on September 17th, and pathetically and unequivocally denies these charges against him and is preparing to contest the government's evidence, such as it is at trial beginning on May 5th of 2025. Mr. Combs has faith in the integrity of the judicial system, is confident the jury will acquit him. Defendant Burgess has been described as a one-time industry bit player, quote unquote, and a fringe character. In the recent months, seeking to capitalize on the media's insatiable appetite for celebrity scandal, Burgess has gone to great lengths to invent and publicize outrageous falsehoods about Mr. Combs. In media interviews, Burgess claims he has worked in the music industry for decades, yet no public record of any professional achievement exists. He has left no detectable footprint on the industry prior to his recent campaign to malign Mr. Combs. His malicious conduct, which according to the New York Times has only amped up the circus-like frenzy surrounding Mr. Combs' case, is intended to garner publicity and profit from the attention surrounding Mr. Combs' legal proceedings. Burgess has never met Mr. Combs and has never had any relationship with anyone in the Combs family. Nevertheless, Burgess claims on multiple occasions that Kim Porter, the mother of several children, Mr. Combs, who died in 2018, provided him with a copy of her memoir and videos depicting Mr. Combs sexually assaulting inebriated celebrities and minors. Those close to Miss Porter, including her children and her roommate for over 20 years, had never heard of Mr. Burgess before he made these utterly implausible and completely false claims. Yet Mr. Burgess has made these false claims numerous times to the press and in social media appearances. In one such interview, broadcast October 31st, 2024 on the Atwood Unleashed YouTube channel, and I'm familiar with that YouTube channel. This guy, Sean Atwood, is actually an ex-con. He was a big-time drug dealer in, I believe it was Arizona, and finally got out of jail, and he has a huge channel now, but we'll move on. Burgess elaborated on that false claim that he received those materials directly from Kim Porter in that podcast. Host Sean Atwood, whose YouTube channel boasts 946,000 subscribers, introduced Burgess in one interview by noting that he has certainly been making waves on the internet. Atwood also noted that we've had so much interest in this one and promised to, quote, get down with some crazy things that Courtney has personally experienced, unquote. On the broadcast, Burgess falsely claimed that Miss Porter enlisted the help of a music industry mutual acquaintance to put her files in Burgess's hands. Specifically, Burgess claimed that this individual called Burgess and told him, I've got something for you. Kim told me to give you something. She's got something she wants you to work with. Burgess went on to claim, again falsely, that the same individual later met with Burgess in New York and delivered to him the first of several flash drives containing the memoir and videos that Miss Porter supposedly intended for him to have, even according to Burgess, Miss Porter had no more than a passing acquaintance with Burgess. During the interview, Atwood posted still images that he and his co-host Tommy Scoville and Burgess insinuated had come from the videos that Burgess falsely claimed Kim Porter had provided to him. They describe one as depicting Justin Bieber, a famous recording artist, kissing an unidentified male. Atwood asked, "Is this picture legit?" And Burgess responded, yes, definitely. Scoville ventured a guess as to the identity of the unidentified male, speculating it's one of those music execs because, allegedly, a lot of those guys, that's why they're in there. They're weirdos like the rest of them. Having labeled all music industry executives as weirdos, Scoville then asked Burgess, "How freaked out were you the first time you got a look at some of the images? Shocker or what?" And Burgess responded that he was freaked out because my daughter was a listener of Justin Bieber, you understand? Burgess stated that Bieber was a child at the time. Burgess characterized Bieber as a victim who loved being treated like that, and that's what happens when you're a kid. Burgess went on to compare Mr. Combs to Lucifer, claiming that Mr. Combs, like Lucifer, destroyed bodies, he destroyed careers, he could get you where you want to be at, but you're going to have to give up your back end. Burgess, Atwood, and Scoville also commented on an image that appeared to depict Mr. Combs with his arm around an adult woman's shoulder, despite the absence of any indication in the image of any untoward conduct. Burgess suggested that the woman was underage. I think she's about 18 right there. She looks about 18. Following up on Burgess's comment, Schofield falsely suggested the photographs evidenced sexual misconduct with minors. Yeah, it's disturbing how the number of people who appear to be underage in all of these things. I think that's probably what we're going to see on these superseding indictments. It's got to be, man. It just keeps coming back to the underage thing again and again. It's terrifying. Burgess and Schofield's statements about these images on the Atwood Unleashed podcast were specifically and maliciously intended to convince viewers falsely that Burgess possessed and Atwood and Schofield had seen evidence of Mr. Combs that he had engaged in sexual abuse of celebrities and minors, even though they knew these claims were false when they made them. On the same broadcast, Burgess insinuated falsely that talking about Mr. Combs and the fake memoir and videos put him in danger of his life. Burgess also described his efforts to market the fake Porter memoir on Amazon.com, which he initially gave the ghoulish title Kim's Lost Words. After the book was denounced by Miss Porter's family and others as fake, Amazon pulled the volume from its website. Subsequently, Burgess marketed other, equally false and defamatory versions of the book, titled Kim Porter Tell It All, on a different website. Burgess described the second version as R-rated in contrast to the PG version on the fake memoir. Upon information and belief, sometime in or around September of 2024, Burgess contacted Ariel Mitchell seeking to team up with a lawyer in an attempt to legitimize and profit from his outrageous lies. Mitchell is a civil litigator at her law firm. On her firm's website, she boasts that her practice focuses on high-profile cases, including claims of sex assault perpetrated by a celebrity. In or around 2021, Mitchell brought a lawsuit against plaintiff and the celebrity musician Trey Songz on behalf of women claiming sexual assault by Trey in 2022. A witness in that lawsuit testified that Mitchell tried to bribe her to lie about witnessing the perpetrated assault and being assaulted herself. In or around 2022, Mitchell brought a $20 million lawsuit against rapper Chris Brown on behalf of a woman claiming that Brown raped her. After Brown posted a series of texts and voicemails reflecting a consensual relationship with the plaintiff, Mitchell withdrew the suit. In the summer of 2024, Mitchell filed lawsuits against plaintiff on behalf of an adult entertainer who alleged she had been sex trafficked by Mr. Combs. After filing the lawsuit, Mitchell launched a media tour in which she repeatedly promoted herself as an authority on the federal grand jury investigation into Mr. Combs, including an interview with TMZ during which Mitchell sat in front of a propped copy of an issue of Vibe magazine with Mr. Combs on the cover and represented she would very shortly be in a position to comment on that investigation. Mitchell has brought at least 2 other lawsuits against Mr. Combs. To date, even though Mitchell has not served either of those lawsuits, she has spoken about them extensively to the media. In exchange for press appearances to discuss the allegations against Mr. Combs, Mitchell has demanded luxury accommodations, including first-class flights to New York, a minimum 2-night stay at a 4-star hotel, on-site hair and makeup services, meals and snacks, and unspecified materials fees. She has insisted, moreover, that such interviews must occur in New York City. After Burgess engaged her, Mitchell continued peddling false claims to various media outlets. For example, in a television interview with News Nation that was broadcast on or about September 27, 2024, Mitchell falsely stated that there have already been tapes leaked around Hollywood being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. Presumably referencing Burgess and or one of his affiliates, Mitchell continued. One particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of and to contact the person who was in the video to see if they were interested in purchasing the video before it became public knowledge. Mitchell described the request as a quote-unquote catch and kill and stated that Mr. Combs was in the tape and this other person was, I would venture to say, more high profile than Mr. Combs. Mitchell falsely confirmed the video exists and that it is real and that the person in the video who is very visible, it's no question if it's that person in the video, and I can tell the video is pornographic in nature. With no evidentiary support, the News Nation host, speaking about Mr. Combs' home, then said to Mitchell, "It sounds like there were probably a lot of hidden cameras in there as well." Mitchell falsely confirmed this and then further stated, based on her review of the supposed false evidence, that it doesn't seem like the person knows they're being videotaped, and it is like they're being surreptitiously recorded. These statements were false. Mitchell never possessed pornographic images involving Mr. Combs and any celebrity, was never able to confirm the existence of any such videos of Mr. Combs, and was never in a position to confirm that any celebrity was surreptitiously recorded in a sex act with Mr. Combs, and thus knew or recklessly disregarded that her statements were false when she made them. News Nation, upon information and belief, conducted no investigation before broadcasting these false allegations, though it easily could have done so. Mitchell also told News Nation on that broadcast about another client, a woman who alleged Mr. Combs sexually assaulted her in North California in 2018. This client's allegations are false. Mitchell falsely represented that her client's fabricated claims were corroborated, even though Mitchell knew they were not. Specifically, Mitchell falsely stated, "We also have a police report that was made in 2018. Later in the interview, the host repeated Mitchell's assertion, emphasizing about the purported police reports. "You guys actually have one?" The host then asked, "Are we going to be able to see it?" Mitchell falsely confirmed that she would produce the report. She answered the host, "Yes, as soon as I file my lawsuit in civil court, I will be attaching the criminal complaint that was made." These statements, in which Mitchell claimed to possess a police report corroborating her client's fabricated allegations, were false, and Mitchell knew they were false when she made them. Roughly 2 weeks after the News Nation broadcast, Mitchell filed the lawsuit she had previewed. Contrary to her false assertions, the lawsuit did not attach any police report. Subsequently, the Walnut Creek Police Department denied having any involvement in the allegations made by Mitchell's client. The Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office released a statement that said they had thoroughly investigated investigated the allegations and determined the claims were unfounded. News Nation broadcast its September 27, 2024 interview with Mitchell without fact-checking Mitchell's false and injurious accusations. News Nation did not even reach out to Mr. Combs' reps for comment. Burgess and Mitchell's repeated false and defamatory claims that Burgess possessed videos depicting Mr. Combs sexually assaulting celebrities, including minors, led federal prosecutors to subpoena him to a grand jury sitting in New York, New York. On the day he appeared before the grand jury, Burgess and Mitchell gave an interview on the courthouse steps during which they acknowledged that U.S. Marshals had visited residences to ensure compliance with the subpoena. In this and subsequent press and social media appearances, Burgess and Mitchell continued to repeat false and defamatory claims that Burgess possessed videos depicting Mr. Combs sexually assaulting celebrities, including minors. For example, on or about October 31st of 2024, Burgess and Mitchell appeared on News Nation's Banfield show, also broadcast on YouTube. The host introduced the interview by announcing that Burgess just testified before a federal grand jury. He says he was in possession of a trove of digital evidence of Diddy's freak-off parties. His name is Courtney Burgess, and he says a friend gave him 11 flash drives that belonged to the late Kim Porter, Diddy's ex-girlfriend and the mother of his kids. On those drives, the witness says 8 videos featured 8 celebrities at Diddy freak-off parties, and that 6 were males and 2 were females. The host went on to note because the 8 people in the videos, the 8 celebrities who were allegedly victims of sex crimes, we know who they are, but we will not be naming them, famous or not. This statement was false, and the News Nation host knew it was false, disregarded whether the statements were true or false because she had never seen such videos, because they don't exist. During the broadcast, Burgess and Mitchell confirmed that Burgess had been subpoenaed into a federal grand jury in Manhattan. In response to the host questioning, Burgess falsely stated that all 8 celebrities who were recorded having intimate relations with Sean Combs, 2 or 3, possibly 3, appeared to be minors, and all appeared inebriated, and all, to be honest, were victims of sexual assault. And that was a quote. Burgess also repeated his false claim about the fake memoir. The host asked him, "Do you know if the notes from the book really were from Kim Porter?" Burgess responded, "Yes, because I spoke to her probably like 6 hours before I got it, received it." In another interview, Burgess claimed that federal law enforcement seized the flash drives from his home. This too was false. On October 7th of 2024, Mitchell also falsely claimed that she had done, quote, research indicating that baby oil may be used as a conduit for transmitting drugs mixed in the oil to another person for the purpose of incapacitating them. Mitchell suggested, moreover, that Mr. Combs did this to one of her clients, referring to the baby oil and mixing drugs, y'all. That statement was a lie. Mitchell performed no such research, and even if she had, there is no scientific basis for asserting that baby oil could be infused with drugs to incapacitate anyone. Again, Mitchell knew, or should have known, that her statements were false when she made them. Mitchell made statements throughout the interview that were unambiguously intended to convince viewers not only that Burgess was telling the truth, but also that she had independently corroborated his claims and was vouching for them. Mitchell made similar statements on or about the same day as the Banfield YouTube broadcast. During a separate interview she and Burgess gave outside of a federal district court in Manhattan. In the interview, the reporter asked, "I know you can't mention celebrities, per se. You did mention some in the interview. So just to clarify, you can back that up with actual factual footage?" Mitchell responded, "We have. Yeah, it's things that we have." Mitchell intended this statement to convince viewers that Burgess' false claims about Mr. Combs were true, even though she knew or recklessly disregarded at the time that his claims were false. In her shameless pursuit of the spotlight, Mitchell repeated these known lies in the documentary The Making of the Band that aired on NBC's Peacock format on January 14th of 2025. In that documentary, Mitchell endorsed the ludicrous allegations of her client Burgess, stating that Burgess had done interviews where he purported to own several flash drives that included sex tapes with 8 distinct individuals, including A-list celebrities and Diddy, all engaged in sex. He believed these people were intoxicated and they may not have known they were being recorded, then explicitly endorsing Burgess's known lies as truths. Mitchell added, and Courtney ultimately handed over the video to the federal government. These statements were completely false. Mitchell knew these statements were false because no video was ever turned over to the government because no video exists. Mitchell did not stop there. She continued to lend credence to Burgess' lies, asserting that Mr. Combs took these videos, which she knew did not exist, so that he could wield power over the purported subjects. It was to advance his influence and power because now I have them on video, she was quoted as saying. She went on to say, I'm going to take this to your wife. I'll take this to your husband. I'll take it public and I'll ruin you if you don't do this for me. During the interview in The Making of a Bad Boy, which is another documentary, y'all, Mitchell shamelessly promoted herself as a lawyer who had filed several cases against Sean Combs for sexual assault and asserted, with no basis of fact and with utter disregard for the truth, that Mr. Combs is a man who has done awful things to hundreds and maybe thousands of people. Defendants eagerly peddled these lies to enrich themselves. Burgess has profited from his fake Kim Porter memoir, which prior to being pulled from the Amazon website, briefly rose to the top of its bestsellers list. Burgess's willingness to profit from the fabricated memoir proves that he is callously indifferent to the emotional distress of Miss Porter's children and has nothing but contempt for the feeling of Miss Porter's extended family and many friends who were heartbroken by her untimely death. Mitchell has also sought to profit from her false and defamatory statements about Mr. Combs. Mitchell has seized every opportunity to promote herself in the media and has insisted on valuable benefits and payments in exchange for interviews, including first-class airfare, 4-star travel, hair and makeup allowances, and a materials fee. News Nation has likewise profited from repeating and amplifying Burgess and Mitchell's lies, drawing viewers and promoting its programming based on wholly unsubstantiated lies that would have been revealed as false had News Nation conducted even the most modest fact-checking. Defendants made false and defamatory statements about Mr. Combs knowing they were false with reckless disregard of their falsity. And that's pretty much the gist of that lawsuit. And he is suing for $50 million. So I will certainly keep you updated on that. But that is the latest lawsuit. Be curious to know what you think. It's important to note that this lawsuit is a libel lawsuit. And there's a big burden of proof in libel cases from the side of the person doing the suing. First and foremost, they have to be able to prove that the person saying whatever it was they were saying, they knew it was false when they said it. So they're very hard to prove because we do have the First Amendment in this country. My podcast, for example, it's more commentary. I'm telling you what's out there and I'm commenting on it. I'm entitled to an opinion, just as you're entitled to an opinion. And thus, we are protected by the freedom of speech. We just can't put out knowingly false information. So that wasn't the only thing that came out since the last time I joined you with a Diddy-related episode. On January 30th, it came out that Diddy allegedly forced 3 women into commercial sex acts, and how that came out, the original indictment that the federal government filed way back in September 2024 against Sean Combs got amended to include that information. And there was a pretty good report put out by USA Today. I'm going to reference that right now. And it says Sean Diddy Combs is facing additional allegations of sexual abuse and racketeering, according to the amended indictment in the music mogul's ongoing criminal case. Combs, who was charged with racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution following his September 2024 arrest, was accused of victimizing a trio of women as part of his alleged sex trafficking enterprise in a revised indictment filed in the Southern District of New York. Combs and other members and associates of Combs' enterprise wielded the power and prestige of Combs' role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Now, you already know what the original indictment said, but Thursday's revised indictment alleged Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to compel his alleged victims, which include 3 unnamed women, to engage in commercial sex acts. In exchange for their participation, Combs reportedly compensated these individuals with monetary payments, career opportunities, and payment of rent and housing expenses. Now, in a statement, Combs' attorney blasted prosecutors' amended indictment, noting it contained no new offenses. In Combs' case, the prosecution's theory remains flawed. The government has added to the ridiculous theory that 2 of Mr. Combs' former girlfriends were not girlfriends at all, but were prostitutes. Mr. Combs is as committed as ever to fighting these charges. Now, also coming out as of late, and I have received a ton of messages on this with people asking me if I watched that Fall of Diddy documentary that came out on ID channel and featured a lot of new information. So I'm going to cover the new claims in detail with you now that were covered on the Fall of Diddy documentary, which was pretty good. I thought it was very well done. And Vibe magazine came out with a pretty good article covering what's new. And one of the first new revelations that was discussed in the Fall of Diddy was a Howard University alumni alleged domestic violence. And it reads, an alumni of Combs' alma mater, Howard University, alleged they witnessed Combs assault a female student on campus. The former Howard University student, who is not identified in the docuseries, said the alleged 1988 incident took place outside their dorm after Combs was spotted angrily searching for the female student, at one point whipping the wall with his belt. When the female student met with Mr. Combs, the Howard alumni claimed he began beating her. Despite the alumni's verbal protests from their dorm window, Combs' interaction with the young woman continued into the doorway of a different dorm. Quote, nobody actually really came to her rescue like we probably should have, the Howard alumni reflected. It's very important to tell this young woman's story because he was never held accountable. Combs was presented with an honorary degree from Howard University in 2014, which was later rescinded by the College Board of Trustees in June of 2024. Also in that documentary, a concert promoter said Diddy pursued him in a high-speed chase amid East Coast-West Coast feud. Concert promoter DeWitt Gilmore claims that Combs retaliated against him during an East Coast-West Coast feud that defined hip-hop culture in the mid-1990s. Gilmore sued Combs and his bodyguards in November for assault and battery over the alleged 1996 incident. In the documentary, Gilmore claims Combs targeted him after the music mogul spotted him wearing a t-shirt that read Death Row East. Death Row Records, a Los Angeles-based record label co-founded by Suge Knight, was famously at odds with Combs and Bad Boy Records due to a rivalry between the respective artists, Tupac and the Notorious B.I.G. He aligned his beef with Suge Knight and Death Row in the West Coast with that t-shirt, Gilmore said. So it's like, how dare you jump on the other side? Gilmore also alleged Combs pursued him in a high-speed chase throughout Manhattan following a tense conversation in their vehicles. At one point, the concert promoter said he and a friend heard gunfire, though it was unclear where the shots came from. My whole future would be erased through your menace to society, said Gilmore, seemingly addressing Combs. My story is just a piece of a bigger puzzle of mayhem. And a shooting victim recalled the 1999 club incident. A woman who claims Combs shot her during a 1999 club altercation with fellow rapper Shine is reflecting on the harrowing incident. Natania Griffin, previously identified as Natania Rubin, said in the moments leading up to the shooting, she witnessed Combs and Shine both reach toward their waist to grab the firearms as they were exiting Club New York. The woman who was shot in the face added she saw a muzzle flash before feeling pain in her face. I was certain I was going to be dead at the moment because I didn't think a human could lose so much blood and still be alive, Griffin said on the video. I just knew my life was not going to be the same. Combs was frequenting the Manhattan Club with then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez when he and his bodyguard, Anthony Wolf Jones, allegedly got in a dispute with Barrow. The resulting gunfire left 3 people injured, including Griffin, and Combs, Lopez, and Jones and Barrow were all arrested. The ensuing trial, however, found only Barrow, which is Shine, serving prison time, 9 years for charges that included criminal possession of a weapon. Griffin also recalled the harassment and alleged threat she experienced for speaking out on the shooting, adding she was forced to move homes after noticing blacked out SUVs parked at a residence. I was a child of hip-hop, Griffin said. I didn't deserve this. I was a victim. I wanted justice. And a Danity Kane alum named D. Woods said that Diddy was verbally abusive on that documentary. Actress and singer D. Woods, who was a member of the Combs girl group Danity Kane, spoke out against Combs' legal troubles in an interview. You know, he is looked up to as a hero of our community, and myself included. I looked up to him, Woods said. I would say that this moment now is a time where I feel like my experience, my truth will really be heard, considered, and believed. Woods, whose professional relationship with Combs was documented on MTV's Making the Band 3, said the music mogul created a verbally abusive work environment. He did it in different ways with all of us, picking and prodding and just a way to chip and knock away, but then praise you. Woods' account of working with Combs will be featured in subsequent episodes of The Fall of Diddy. Woods isn't the only member of Danity Kane speaking out against Combs. In September, Woods' former bandmate Dawn Richard sued Combs on 21 counts of sexual assault, and I brought y'all that lawsuit way back then. Former Diddy assistant Phil Pines spoke out. In the interview, Pines told journalist Maura Campo he was someone that I look up to. Pines alleged his responsibilities quickly transformed from run-of-the-mill assistant duties to something more sinister. In a December lawsuit, Pines said the now 55-year-old mogul treated him as a personal lackey during his employment from 2019 to 2021. Part of Pines' alleged responsibilities included setting up rooms for sex parties that Combs referred to as Wild King Nights, and I brought y'all that lawsuit. So he also had a lot to say during that particular series. And even Diddy's former girlfriend alleged he threatened to deport her. A former romantic partner of Combs alleged he threatened her residency status following their breakup. Actress Kat Payson, who dated Combs on and off in the late 2010s, recalled their relationship took a dark turn in 2021 while Combs was making the Love album. One night, Payson said Combs, after having taken the drug Tusi and subjected her to non-consensual sex. The person who came out of the bathroom and woke me up was someone that I didn't even recognize, she said. A few weeks after the incident, Payson said she received an angry phone call from Combs, during which he threatened to have the Canadian native deported. In response, Payson told Combs that he was a demon. This man is sick. He uses his resources and uses what he can do for you and thinks that can band-aid and solve horrible things that he does to people. So that was her thoughts. And I would recommend you check out The Fall of Diddy if you've not done so. Pretty well done documentary. Now, the last thing I'm going to cover today is in regards to Jay-Z. And of course, I've covered in detail the lawsuit that was amended with Diddy to include Jay-Z in one instance of rape. And Jay-Z is still fighting this thing, and he's fighting it hard. I went on record saying there were some discrepancies when this accuser conducted an interview versus what she said in her lawsuit. And that to me automatically made her not credible. The truth never changes. This is just fact. I'm going to reference an article here by the Daily Mail that covers the current news on Jay-Z and the fact that he is all fucking over Tony Buzbee right now. And it reads like this. The headline says, Jay-Z is not done coming for lawyer Tony Buzbee's neck with this latest legal move. Sean Jay-Z Carter is not letting up on Texas lawyer Tony Buzbee. After filing a motion to dismiss the sex assault case against him earlier this month, he is back with an additional memo claiming Buzbee got basic facts wrong in the case. Last year, Carter was named alongside disgraced hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs after an anonymous woman claimed both rappers raped her when she was 13. Jay-Z has since denied the allegations against him repeatedly, and he has vowed to do any and everything to get the case quashed and make Buzbee pay. So now the rapper, through his longtime lawyer Alex Spiro, is coming for Buzbee big time. The original motion to dismiss was reportedly filed on January 8th, but this additional memo was sent on January 29th. Spiro noted several inaccuracies with the accuser's story, including how Doe's own father can't recall picking her up after the alleged 2000 rape, which directly contradicts the accuser's story. In the memo, Spiro wrote, Mr. Carter seeks only to hold Mr. Buzbee to the ethical standards that constrain any responsible attorney who would solemnly sign his name to allegations in court. He and Jay are now saying that Buzbee should be sanctioned for not properly vetting Jane Doe's story. And if that wasn't enough, Jay-Z's team even pointed out that Tony even admitted he never personally met with the Jane Doe before taking on the case. Buzbee, on the other hand, insists Doe was properly vetted, but Jay-Z claims this is a contradiction to the lawyer's ethical responsibility. In response to the memo, Buzbee said what Spiro has filed, like everything else he has filed thus far, is frivolous and meritless. Buzbee added the rules apply equally to everyone, even those who wrongfully think they are above the law. No one is above the law. So I don't think Jay-Z is going to give up, and I think he has a gripe. So that's all I got for you today. I know that was a bunch of information, kind of a hodgepodge of what has come out recently with Sean Diddy Combs, and I've had a lot of people asking me to put another episode out there, so there you go. I want to thank every one of you for listening, supporting. Look, check out the Patreon page, super active page, tons of files of everything we talk about on Exposed. You get early commercial-free episodes, you get bonus episodes, you even get quarterly gifts if you're a member of our global celebrity tier. So go check us out at patreon.com/exposedpodcastfiles. And until next time, for Exposed Scandalous Files of the Elite, I'm your host, Jim Chapman. Much love.